Hi guys, and welcome back to the survival project. In the last episode we was working on this awesome little island over here, where we just added like a load of little plant life and that, just to make a way through from that side and eventually onto our main sort of city island. We built up this awesome bridge as well using the new crimson block. Of course, we did change the textures ourselves, so this is a lot more red than you'd typically see it. The original textures very sort of pinkish and that, but I really love the way that we've managed to get this to sort of come out. I really like the bridge. I think it might be a little bit thin at the bottom, so I might need to do something with that. For today's episode though, we are going to be working over here in our little Panda Sanctuary, and I want to start off with what I think is going to be a really cool project. So I want to build up a much higher cliff facing on this side, and we're going to create like a little artificial waterfall that's going to land off into a nice little spring, which eventually will be carrying on into like a little river that's going to run through here. Yeah, we're just going to get loads and loads of nature sort of stuff going on around here, and I think it's going to wind up looking really good. So I've got a load of stone here, didn't really need to gather that, I just had a shulker box full to the brim. We've got some various bits of dirt and grass. So to begin with, what I'm going to be doing is just building up the base structure for the little cliff facing. Now you can see we got these pillars in. This was an original guide for what I was going to do, but actually this is going to be a lot higher than that block there in the end. It's going to be in sort of like a bit of a circular shape. And yeah, I just think it's going to wind up coming out really good. If I can translate what I've got in my mind into the game, then it's going to look really good when we're done with it. So I'm going to get the base structure of this thing set up, and then I will check back in with you. We've got a bit of a general structure going on now, so this is sort of like the basis for it. I think I still need to do a little tiny bit of shaping and cover up some of these like grass edges here and that. That should make it look a little bit better. So obviously over here we got a bit of a more sheer cliff facing, which I think is pretty cool. It'll break it up a little bit. So our little artificial waterfall's essentially just going to be coming out of the rocks, and up here we're just going to have like loads of probably just custom trees, I reckon, is how we're going to go about that. And we're going to have custom trees coming up all along here as well, and that should make this all look pretty good. I did light up most of under there, but I must have missed a few spots because I can hear some spiders. But yeah, so the next bit that I think we really need to work on is actually digging this out now. And if I'm correct, which I am, there's a massive hole underneath there where the original sort of island is. So yeah, that's actually going to make things a little bit harder for us doing this, but that is fine if I just delete that. So essentially I'm going to now start coming in with some stone and sort of start building up like the edges of where the water's going to be. The water line's actually going to run along here, so this bit of cliff facing is actually going to continue out here some ways. And I want it to sort of circle around a little bit, and predominantly I then want this river that's going to come out of it is going to come off of this area here. So you can kind of see I am being pretty random with the way I'm placing these blocks. It just sort of gives me a bit of a basis of an idea. So coming out of this, I'm actually going to have it be pretty thin, I think. So sort of like maybe a bit like this. And then as we come out a bit more, it's going to get wider and wider. So this can come out over here a little bit. And yeah, eventually we'll maybe have it go off a little bit in that direction as well. But mainly I want this little river section to sort of carry on over that way, but that's not really what we're going to be focusing on today. So yeah, I now need to, as I say, get all of this cleared out and get the sort of pond area set up. You can see it's pretty flat and boring at the moment. We've got a lot of texture variation that we need to do. I don't know if I'll get around to the texture variation of these cliffs today. We may not. And I'm toying around with the idea of putting some form of a structure up here, just as a place for our pandas to just come and, I don't know, maybe destroy. Nothing too amazing, maybe like a little gazebo type thing. That could wind up looking pretty good. It's either that or, as I say, this is just going to all be custom trees. But yeah, let me get this pond dug out. So, generic pond layout set. Next up, we need to get a load of variation in. And now we've got a load of texture variation going on. It's looking pretty grey and boring still at the moment. So, I think it's about time we started adding some water in and some water life. I'm just going to get all of this sort of filled out, and we're probably just going to bone mill the ground and get a load of kelp blocks in there as well. And that should make things look a bit better. Some lily pads and stuff like that. I don't want to go mad with colour here, so I'm not going to be putting loads of the sort of coral blocks in there, because I don't think it will suit this. So I'm going to get those bits done, and we can check back in again. Lots of jumping in and out at the moment, but yeah, I think this is starting to take shape a bit. I need to add a bit more texture variation actually into the stone, rather than just adding slabs and stairs about the place, and that'll make it look a little bit better as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do those bits, and we can come back in. Just adding this little bit of greenery is great. We've got some lily pads in here. Now what I like to do with lily pads is plant them above the kelp, just because I think it makes it look a little bit more realistic, like it's actually connected. So yeah, this is all looking really, really good down here now. Basically, if I could get out, what we really need to start focusing on now is making this area look a bit more right. Now, I do want a lot of tree coverage coming up along this ridge and up the top here. And I think basically that is just going to make the area look exactly the way I want it to. I am going to have to come along with a load more grass and sort of like extend this out a bit. So because of the height that I want this river, essentially this entire island's almost going to be shifting up a little bit. At the very least in the middle it will be. And along quite a few of the edges as well. I think we need to get some ups and some downs just to make the whole thing look a bit more interesting. Anyway, now I'm done sort of playing around with that, I can get rid of my little stand-in spot. And yeah, I think it's custom trees next. I'm toying around with the idea of bringing the path block in here instead of having grass. But the problem with doing that is we're then not going to be able to add any of the sort of foliage. I suppose we could do like a bit of a mix-up of it actually. That could wind up looking pretty good. Of course, we don't want any of these horrible red flowers. Yeah, I might try this out. Just doing like a little bit of a mix-up of... yeah, a little bit of a mix-up of the greens and this brown. So I changed the path block to be like a bit of a darker version of the coarse dirt. And I think that looks fairly similar to what we used to have, just without all of the different bits of variation, which is fine by me. If I do this, I'm going to have to go through and sort all of that out underneath there. But I think that could wind up making this look a little bit more interesting as well. Just added another sort of colour to the fray. I'm going to test it out on this side and we can come back and have a look in a moment. So I think this is coming along quite nicely at the moment. We've got all of this sort of dirt block here, like this. It looks like it's wet. It makes sense being right next to this pond. And I think that's going to really make this area look really good. I'm using bamboo here just basically to stop the pandas from being able to escape. So along the edges where I don't want to have these walls, I'm probably just going to use bamboo like this, because I think that could wind up looking pretty good. There's another wandering trader about the place. They're just everywhere all the time. Unless you actually want one, then they never show up. But yeah, so you can see I carried the idea on over here as well. I think realistically the next thing that we need to do to sort of get this area really going is actually start building trees. Now, I need to do a bunch of research before I start building trees, just to make sure that I'm getting the right idea, basically. I don't want to just come along and do my generic custom trees, because they might not actually suit the bill for panda's habitat. So I'm going to do a bunch of research on panda habitats and see what I come up with there. I know that I do want to have like a bunch of fallen trees about the place and that as well, where they'll be able to actually walk up onto them, because I think that'd be pretty cool. But I don't think that's really going to suit this area here. To be honest, this bit might wind up becoming a lot of bamboo. just because I think it'll close the area up quite nicely, but I do want to build some actual trees in here as well. So yeah, let me do a little bit of research and we can try and get some trees in. Oh, I also put the actual waterfall in, and we've got a load of vines about the place, just trying to make it look a little bit better as well. So yeah, that's all good. I keep looking at this spruce texture and I think I might want to make it a bit darker, because that is really, really light now, and I don't think it originally looked like that. Yeah, it was probably a bit more along the lines of these trapdoors, so I might move that sort of brown colour there into the rest of the spruce blocks, just to have a little bit of consistency going on. Plus, I think it looks a bit better when it's a bit darker. At the moment, that looks a lot like chocolate to me. So good news, I got a little bit carried away and I have completely sort of finished this little part of the area off now. I've added a couple of custom trees. These are fairly simple designs and I really do want to change this spruce texture. But yeah, there's just loads and loads of greenery about the place now. I've added some mossy cobblestone in. We've got like a load of leaves sort of coming down along the rocks and that. Yeah, I just think this area looks really cool. And what I love over here is sort of like just how tight knit it gets. Obviously, we don't want the pandas escaping, so I've done everything in my power to make it so that a two-wide entity can't get out of there. I'm a little bit worried about mobs spawning in here, so I'm going to have to come up with some way to light it up, but I can sort of worry about that a little bit later. I'll have to sort of watch and see how the mobs are spawning, because there are quite a lot of blocks that I've placed that are sort of unspawnable, like slabs and leaves and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, we've got a nice big tree up the top here, and yeah, I just think the whole thing has come together really well. So yeah, this is one completed section, and it's pretty much all that I've got time for today for recording wise. The only thing I'm not too happy about is how wide the waterfall is. I think we could probably improve that quite a bit, but I'm not entirely sure what to do about it. Maybe I shouldn't have gone for a man-made waterfall and just made it into an actual sort of waterfall, but there you go, this is what we've got. In the next episode, we're going to probably extend this river down some way. I want to sort of like bring it up in some bits as well, because I think that's going to just add a little bit more interest to the area as well. We want to get loads and loads of height variation on this island, because if we've learned anything from our main island over there, it looks best when you add all of this sort of variation in. So yeah, that's definitely something that we've got to make sure that we're doing here. So yeah, we're going to be expanding the river, probably plotting its entire course, and then I'm not sure what the best way to work it is, to be totally honest. I could go from the centre outwards, so we could just build out the river and then just start building out from there, or we could start sweeping along the edges of the island. I know that I want to get like a visitors centre on this side, which is where we're going to have a bridge. Is it here? I think it's here. I think we was going to have a bridge here, or maybe over there somewhere. But yeah, I want to get a visitors centre on this side of the island, and on this other side, it's almost going to be like a workers' entrance. But mainly it's going to be somewhere that they can bring the pandas inside and look after them there. And, you know, like if there was any sort of vetting sort of stuff that needed to be done, medical stuff for the animals and that. But yeah, as I say, that is all I've got time for. So I really hope you've enjoyed the episode. I think this area is starting to come together really fantastically. It's looking really good, and I'm really motivated to do this again now. So yeah, you'll probably see quite a few more videos coming out from this series. At any rate, have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one.